Hello and welcome to the Rebelle Review Show. I'm your host Alexander Rebelle and I welcome you from the couch that I happen to be sitting at. Today I'm going to teach you how to make clam chowder. This is a systematic and in-depth tutorial that will teach you everything you need to know in order to make a New England style treat, and it starts right now. Step 1. Create your base. In order for you to properly make New England clam chowder, you'll need to create a base. In order to do this, you'll need two things. You'll need flour and you'll need butter. You will first melt the butter in a large pot, and then you will add the flour in order to create your base. And once you've done this, you will proceed to step number 2. Overthrow the Canadian government. In order for you to continue on your quest to make the perfect clam chowder, you'll have to become supreme leader of a new Canadian empire. You will anoint yourself as Captain Canada, and you will lead the Canadian people on a very polite and well-mannered uprising against the Parliament. But in order to complete this step, you will need several things to help you along the way, and I just happen to have all of those things right here. The first thing you'll need is a hockey stick, or as I call it, Canadian catnip. As with cats and catnip, when Canadians see a hockey stick, they are simply unable to control themselves, and they must showcase their superior hockey skills for all the world to see. Canadians are the people that gave the world Wayne Gretzky, Steve Yzerman, and Bobby Orr. Hockey is simply a fact of life in Canada, and while all of Canada is sufficiently distracted by the hockey stick, you will use the second thing you'll need. Water. You will need water when the hockey stick inevitably breaks and loses its power over the Canadian mind. When this happens, you will use the water to melt the Canadians that attack you. You see, when water is poured on a Canadian, that Canadian instantly melts and dies. Many studies have been done on this subject, most notably the 1963 case study performed by Russian chemist Dr. Victor. Victor is considered the authority on the subject in the scientific community, so I'd like to introduce him to you now.
Thank you, comrade. Not many people know that Victor scientist. But just after Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, Soviet Kremlin want to examine territory north of United States for possible route of invasion. During study, Victor observed that water melts people in territory, and Victor want to know reason. Victor scientist, so Victor want to know reason. After 8 months study, Victor find that people in territory not carbon-based life forms. Instead, people in territory composed of calcium, sodium, and dysprosium. Victor named territory CANADY, after 3 elements people in territory based on. Victor submit finding to Soviet Kremlin that people in territory based on alkaline metal, and chemical reaction happen when people come into contact with water. Over time, people in territory come to call territory Canada, after name Victor give it during study.
Thank you, Victor. So once the hockey stick breaks and becomes useless, you will continue your quest to make clam chowder by dousing all Canadians that stand in your way with water, thus melting them and clearing your path to overthrowing the Canadian government. But you'll need one more thing to complete step 2. You'll also need a copy of the album 2112 by the Canadian band Rush. You see, much like the hockey stick, music by the band Rush renders Canadians incapable of controlling themselves. You will play the music as you fight through the 7 circles of Canadian Parliament and finally defeat the evil Supreme Canadian leader Dudley Do-Right, thus completing your necessary coup on the Canadian government. And once you reign supreme over the Canadian people, you will proceed to step 3. Create a Canadian Ponzi scheme. With your new absolute Canadian power, you'll begin convincing foreign investors to invest in Canadian currency and give you their money. But instead of investing their money, you will simply take it for yourself and turn Canada into the wealthiest nation in the world. Nations will tremble before the power of the new Canadian Empire, and those who stand in its way will be destroyed. Which brings us to step number 4. Forge an alliance with Mexico. As the supreme leader of the new Canadian Empire, it will be necessary to have powerful allies in case of war with the United States. The strategic positioning of Mexico and Canada will allow war to be waged on 2 fronts, one in the north and one in the south. But in order to forge this alliance, you will have to contact my good friend and Mexican President, Presidente Martin.
Hola, señor. Me llamo Presidente Martin. Soy presidente de México y quiero ser un amigo de Canadá. Los dos países pueden destruir los Estados Unidos juntos. Nuestra historia va a estar escrito en la sangre de nuestros enemigos. Los dos países van a conquistar los Estados Unidos y robar su sopa de almeja. Vamos a estar invencibles juntos. Ven conmigo.
Thank you, Presidente. So step 4 is for you to forge an alliance between your invincible Canadian Empire and Mexico. And once you've done that, you'll proceed to step number 5. Issue an ultimatum. You and Mexico will issue a warning to the President of the United States. The ultimatum will be simple. Unless your demands are met, there will be war and lives will be lost. And your demands will be simple. Give us clam chowder and oyster crackers and there will be peace. You will enjoy the clam chowder that you will be sent, and that will complete this tutorial. And that's all the time we have for today. I'm Alexander Rebelle, and thank you for watching the Rebelle Review Show.